Uh, Good evening and welcome to the August meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. For all present, let's spend a few minutes reviewing how this meeting will be conducted. For the first 2 hours prior to 9:30 p.m., we shall hold a public hearing on the applications that you received a notice on and that were listed in the Norwalk Hour for hearing. After the application is announced by the chairman and read by the secretary, the applicant will come forward, state his or her name for the record, and then present the appeal or relief sought. Please present those zoning issues that are relevant to the practical difficulties or hardship requiring this application. After you or your representative has spoken, those in favor will have the chance to be heard. After that segment, those against the application will have the opportunity to state their opposition for the record. In the case of an appeal, the zoning staff will have the opportunity to present their findings. Finally, after those against the application have spoken, the applicant and only the applicant will have the opportunity to rebut and respond to the issues raised. The hearing is then closed and the next application called. New applications will not normally be heard after 9:30 p.m. as the board must discuss and act upon these applications. Please note that no further public input is accepted at that time. You are welcome to stay for this portion of tonight's meeting, but should you decide to leave, you may contact the zoning office tomorrow to learn about our decision. Before we proceed tonight, I must remind you that this hearing is recorded and will become a matter of permanent public record. The first case to be heard this evening is application 21-081901 Francis Eisenman. Mr. Secretary?
Francis Harrisman, proposed motor vehicle sales and repair and neighborhood business zone. The property is located 24 Van Zant Street, District 3, Block 83, Lot 3. The request, the applicant seeks motor vehicle approval to operate a new auto sales and repair use on an existing parcel that was formerly an overhead door company. Background, the location was previously commercial use and is an overhead door company tenant. When analysis and finding by our staff, when the board reviews an application for location approval of a car dealership or repairs license, it acts as an agent of the state and does not perform local zoning functions. If approved for the license, the applicant must also make a subsequent and separate application for special permit for motor vehicle use to the zoning commission. The zoning commission will review the application for adherence to the standards set forth in section 118-1450. State statute title 14, chapter 26, section 1454 requires the board's approval of the license only. By granting the license, we would be affirming that this is an appropriate use. That's it.
Okay, will the representative for the applicant please step forward? Will the applicant for 24 Van Zant Street please step forward and identify themselves? Tammy?
Tom, unmute. You're muted again, Tom.
Well, is it possible that they're having difficulty.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
guys. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, but we'd like to be able to see you also.
I'm trying to. How do I do that? Start video.
Start your video.
Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm there.
Very good. Would you talk about your project for us?
So we're a small repair shop that originated in Stanford. Two employees. We repair mostly exotic cars, very low volume, probably 4 or 5 cars a week. We also like to get our used car dealer license as well. We have 4 lifts in the shop. It's like I said, it's a low-key shop. Nothing gets left outside. And we specialize in exotics. That's pretty much, the gist of it. It's a very small shop. We just needed some more space. We ran out of space in Stanford, so that's where we're at. So we'd like to take not going to do any changes to the building. Aesthetically, not going to increase the size. We're going to put 4 automotive lifts above ground inside the unit. Obviously update it, redo the driveway, need some new windows, new paint, lighting converted the electric over to LEDs. I'd like to update also the heating system. It's oil heat right now. I'd like to be able to get gas heat if possible. No real changes to the building, no increase in square footage. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in favor of this application?
So if you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand and I can allow you to talk.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition of this application? Well, Tom, let me ask you this. I think the biggest problem that I see with auto repair businesses in general is that at times there is an overflow and cars are parked out on the street. You did mention that everything will be put inside in the evening.
Yes. Yep, the parking lot, I believe, is staked and marked for 19 spots, I believe, off street. So neither the employees or customers would ever be parking on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we deal with multi-million-dollar cars, so usually they never get left outside, and definitely never left on the street for sure.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Is this the old overhead door location?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm familiar with the building. I would guess that you have to reapply to DMV for a license. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, the license we have in Stanford right now is non-transferable to Norwalk. We have to start the application again. Yes.
And when you apply, will you be applying not just to do vehicle repairs, but sales? And will you be doing used car sales or new car sales?
Used car sales.
All right. I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay. Any other member of the board wish to comment or ask question?
Nothing from me.
Well,
Only
hearing
that,
none.
well, I just want to say it would be very nice to have a place close to home to maintain my Ferrari.
We'd love to help you with that for sure.
No, my honest opinion is I would love to see another high-end repair shop in Norwalk. I don't currently own an exotic, but I have in the past.
Well,
So,
feel free to come by anytime. It's usually like a car show in there. So yeah, but the bulk
Okay.
of our business is Ferrari. I would say 90% of our work is Ferrari. We do some Lamborghini, Porsche, Aston Martin, but the bulk is Ferrari.
okay,
Interesting.
good. Well, hearing no other comments from either the public or board members, we'll close this item and move on to item 21-0819-02, John Wycliffe. Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, John Wycliffe, variance of parking requirement. 6 spaces required, 3 spaces existing and proposed. Section 118-1220 for proposed retail use and existing residential use in neighborhood business zone. The property is located at 155 South Main Street, District 2, Block 76, Lot 15. And the applicant's request, he is seeking a variance for the required parking in order to obtain a tenant fit up for retail use, which was formerly a church. The background, the structure was built in 1941, consists of 2 residential dwelling units on the upper level and the former church space on the first floor. There are 3 existing off-street parking spaces at the property. Staff analysis and findings, a case for hardship could be made due to the lot size of 0.1 acre and lack of alternative on-site parking. That's it.
Okay, will the applicant please step forward and identify themselves?
Thank you. Adam Blank, I live here in Norwalk. I am the attorney for the applicant, John Wycliffe. I believe Mr. Wycliffe is on the Zoom. If not, he's having trouble getting logged in, but he should be on this evening. As mentioned, he owns 155 South Main Street in the neighborhood business zone. And if I can share my screen. Sometimes takes a minute to load up. Is it up yet or not quite?
Not yet.
Okay, bear with me. It will come up. So his property, and I'll just talk while it's loading, at 155 South Main. He also operates and owns Crespo's, which is a convenience store essentially diagonally across the street. Am I live on your end? It's a little frozen on mine. Oh,
We're not getting your download.
how about now?
There it is.
Okay, great. Sorry for the delay. So this is a photo of the front of the first floor was the existing church and apartments, 2 apartments up top. South Main is right here in the forefront of the screen, and running the long way is Bell. And then looking from the back of the building, the existing parking back in the 2nd floor and 1st floor. So as mentioned, first let me just say we did provide notice to the neighbors. We've submitted the certificate of mailing to the green cards to your staff. I'm just going to give you about 7 minutes here of a presentation on the variance request. We don't have any experts joining us this evening. The existing interior 1st floor space. This was the existing church use with the pulpit. I'll just scroll through, sort of from one side of the building, looking up, looking back from the back towards the back end to the front, another side angle. So that's the existing 1st floor. The property has 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3 on site, although those are 3 sort of lawful spaces. I would say that it sort of fits a little more than that, but there's 3 legal spaces on site. That existing church use is under your parking regulations. If you were to have 2 apartments up top, those would require 4 spaces. And then on the church use, because it doesn't have any fixed seating, they were, like loose chairs. You base it on the the floor area of that first floor, which would require about 46 parking spaces in total for the first floor use, plus the 4 up top for the apartment, gives you 50 spaces that would have been required. Although there's a mixed use credit of 25% that they would have been eligible for, bringing the parking requirement down to about 38 spaces with the 3 provided. So that's because the church has been there for a long enough period of time, that was non-conforming, but pre-existing non-conforming with respect to parking. Under the proposed use, we've sort of worked to come up with a sketch, and it may be package store, it may be retail, not of the package store variety. He's sort of looking at what will work the best, but it's laid out, or the proposed layout would have less than 400 square feet of active floor area, which is the trigger for your parking counts. And that would require 6 spaces. So you go from what's currently would be required of 38 to 50 spaces down to 6 required spaces. But because of the change in use, the zoning office has advised us that they believe that a variance is required, even though we're substantially decreasing the parking requirement, the parking required, because it is a change in use. We, as you can sort of see from the survey, and you saw from the picture, there's no empty space on this site to add additional parking. It's only a 0.1 acre lot. So that we believe is a hardship allowing for a variance. Additionally, the Connecticut Supreme Court has said in Vine versus Zoning Board of Appeals of North Branford, it's a 2007 Supreme Court case, that if you reduce a nonconformity and you make it less of a nonconformity, even though still a nonconformity, that in and of itself is an independent basis that would allow for a variance. And we believe that because we're substantially reducing the parking that would otherwise be required, that's another grounds for you to grant a variance on this application. And that's really it in a nutshell. I see Mr. Wycliffe now on the video screen. If you have questions for him or myself, we'd be happy to try to answer them, but otherwise we hope you'll grant that variance request. Thank you.
I think my first question is, will the owner be making site improvements? I noticed the condition of the parking lot, especially at the curb cut. No dumpster enclosure. Will there be site improvements?
Mr. Wycliffe, if you're able to unmute yourself, you want to try to unmute and
Sure. Hi, committee. Greetings to all the committee members, and thank you for having me on. Yes, I will definitely improve the property conditions. I have a very good record with the zoning committee because previously I bought the property on Ely Avenue. I mean, I had a walk with the mayor and a Tammy Maldonado. I made the substantial improvement to my existing property. So this is also going to be same thing. I'm going to improve like an outside looking words and a parking lot and everything. I will do that.
And we should mention that he acquired this property this year. It hasn't been his for years. It's a new acquisition.
Okay. Any other board member have questions?
Tad does. Unmute yourself, Tad.
I do. I just looking at the sketch design for the anticipated parking lot. That seems like 3 big spaces. Is there a way to configure that parking lot to accommodate another car or 2?
I don't know the answer to that. I assume that it was sketched out as best they could do with turning radiuses to make them lawful. Obviously, I think we would ask for the variance, but we're happy to take a look, and if we can fit more spaces in, that's a benefit to Mr. Wycliffe.
Sure.
It might benefit you to show this to somebody with some site planning experience.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm satisfied with the application as it is, but I agree with you that if you could put another car or two back there, it'd be good for the business as well.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Yes, Adam had mentioned that the very rough sketch of the interior layout was designed to meet the parking requirement. What if the interior layout turns out to be different with more usable square footage?
Then I think Miss Maldonado comes after us. No, I mean, we'd have to get go through the permitting process for the fit up work. And if it didn't comply, then we'd get a cease and desist and would be back here. And if it complied at the time we got our permit, and then it didn't subsequent to that, and somebody filed a complaint, again, it comes back to you. So it's.
Okay, understood. Thanks.
I'll
Mr.
ask,
Chairman, Marilyn Altman has her hand up.
Hi, and I'm just asking, so if you have a business there now, so will that parking lot in the back have to accommodate any deliveries? I saw there may be a package store, so, or is that just off the street right in front of the building? If there's truck deliveries on a regular basis or something, just asking.
John, do you know how the product would get in, or how they do it at Crespo's now across the street?
Yeah, I mean, I've been operating this Crespo Deli for 25 years. I know I get the deliveries all the time, and all the truck drivers, they do use the South Main, the sidewalk for the deliveries. And this street is wide, I mean, to accommodate any kind of delivery trucks to park on the side and deliver the stuff to the businesses.
Thank you.
is there anyone online that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone online who wishes to speak against this application?
Looks like we have one person raising their hand. Diane, please state your name and address for the record. She just has to unmute.
Hi, yes, my name is Diane Keefe. I live at 249 Chestnut Hill Road in Norwalk. And I'm not speaking opposed. I just wanted to, since most of the public doesn't know about this, I just thought since the prior use of the building was a church, I think it would be, and since there are so many package stores in Norwalk, I think it would benefit if there's any vehicle to not have it be a package store and put some kind of a limitation on it. I think that would be better than approving a package store where a church used to be. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, Diane, thank you. I believe that, the applicant would have to obtain a liquor license from the state. Am I correct, Adam?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And there are certain limitations and distances to other liquor stores?
I don't know if there's a distance limitation through the state. Norwalk did have a distance limitation, but it was taken out of the zoning regs maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
But the
I'm
state
sure-
certainly has to review it and has say over it.
I'm sure Tammy will confirm that for us.
That's accurate. So there's no restrictions. We treat a package store as a retail use only. retail
we
use
could
is
get a
allowed.
street with 6 package stores next door to each other, technically.
In the zones where retail is allowed, yes.
Okay, just asking the question. Any other questions of this applicant? Well, hearing none, I will close this item and we will move on to item C 21-0819-03. 12 Noah Lot Lane. Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, let's see, I'm on. So the city of Norwalk, the variance of rear setback, 223 feet required, 68.45 feet proposed, referencing section 118.1450D2 for a new school in a AAA residence zone. The property is located at 12 Noah Lot Lane, District 5, Block 32, Lot 13. And the applicant's request is seeking a variance for the required rear setback for the new school building. Typically 30-foot rear setback per zone, but much greater due to the stipulation of the special permit requirements. Background: Cranberry Elementary School was built in 1959 and is being replaced with a new school. I added that, it's not in your document. Analysis and findings: a case for hardship could be made due to the need to preserve the existing building until the new school is completed, as well as the goal to maintain existing wooded areas. In addition, roughly half of the parcel contains wetlands. Application has been made to the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission. And that's it. Ready to rock.
Very good. I would like to make the comment before I open this item is we will take no comments regarding the design of the building. It is not within our bailiwick. Those of you that are critical of this project, this has been an ongoing process for the last year. I'm very surprised that so many people were caught short on this, but this has been in the planning process for over a year, and the school is a significant feature in your neighborhood. Saying that, I would like the representative for the City of Norwalk to please come forward and identify themselves.
Hi, good evening. I'm Alan Lowe on behalf of the City of Norwalk, in charge of facility and building construction. Tonight, we are making this request for a variance, and we're also represented by, it's going to be presented by our design project team. So with, I'm going to have John to introduce himself, and then the rest of the design team to provide clear information about presentation on what the requests are, what the bases are. Thank you.
Jonathan Gombats from Construction Solutions Group, project manager on the project. I also have Lisa Yates and Mike Lasasso from Antonazzi Associates, and Kent Gannon and Phil Katz from Stantec, who are the civil and site engineers here to present.
Okay, well, we should proceed then.
There we go, unmuted. Hi, I'm Lisa Yates from Antonazzi. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to briefly walk us through the site, which you appear to have a very good understanding of already, but visuals still help. And I will pass this off at the end to Stantec to get into the more technical aspects of the rear yard variance itself. So here we have, it's 10, also known as 12 Noah Lot Lane, which occupies the area inside the orange boundary here. And we have a park to the north, parkland to the south. We're bounded by Field Street. This is Noah Lot Lane. And we have a little tongue of land that leads out to Grumman. And it is how power and water are connected to the street. So, and this is our existing Cranberry Elementary School. As you pointed out, it was built in 1959. And the goal here is to create a new school. And it's a goal of ours to stick within this previously developed area. And when looking at this, you can say, well, of course, it's to save the trees in the parkland. But as we also have discussed, half of the site, roughly 15 acres, is occupied by wetlands, which are shown here in blue. And then we also have our upland review area, which is 50 feet off of that. And that sort of constricts this area a little bit further still. And since this is an existing school, we would like to be able to keep the kids in it during construction so they're not displaced. And also, as you mentioned, this has already been reviewed by conservation. And we've been working with them throughout to, make sure that the design is in keeping with their goals.
What other municipal boards have reviewed this project?
We had the.
Let me answer the question.
Yes.
The Common Council has been, I, on behalf of the city, Land Use and Building Management Committee of Council is the official school building committee for the city. So they have seen this on 2 separate occasions, at least. And also, I guess, part of the budget process, they have seen some of this information before that. Board of Education, and I believe it's the Facility Committee of Board of Education. We also have a Building Advisory Committee that is created for specifically for this project. Consist of 1 council member, 1 board member, teachers, and parents.
So and this has been well.
We have submitted preliminary drawings to the state as well, because the state of providing financial reimbursement to the city for this new building.
So this has been well out in the public for what, a year?
I would say at least the design phase started in, I think it's October last year, the funding process the year before that. So at least the overall project has been in the process for about 2 years.
Thank you, Alan. Please proceed.
Sure. So the as I said before, Field Street and Noah Lot Lane form borders of the property, and this is technically considered a corner lot, even though the development is clearly on the other side of the lot. And Field Street, being the shortest portion, is considered the front yard, which turns this into the rear yard. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And this is our setback, which I'm going to turn it over to Stantec to explain why it is the distance that it is in a minute. But I also thought it would be helpful to point out, so this is the 68 feet. It only occurs at the closest point. This purple line here shows a normal 30-foot rear yard setback if this were a house. If another thing to think about is if this building, if the front yard were considered on Noah Lot Lane, this would be a side yard and this would be a 40-foot setback. But and I can answer other questions, but I think I'm going to pass it over to Stantec, and I'm going to go to their first page. And so we have Kent Gannon and Phil Katz from Stantec here. And I can take you guys to your full set of drawings, but I have us here on this technical version of what I was just showing you.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. This is Kent Gannon with Stantec. Like John said earlier, we're the site civil landscape architects for the project. So as Lisa showed, we're seeking a variance for the rear yard setback. The requirement is a 223-foot variance, or 223-foot setback, excuse me. Yeah, Lisa, so if you kind of zoom in over here. And so you may be asking how we came to that. And I think the easiest way to kind of explain it is to first read the regulation, which is in section 118.1450, section D, paragraph 2, which talks about building setbacks when you're applying for a special permit. So this will be obviously a school building in a residence zone. So the regulation reads, all buildings shall be set back from front, side, and rear property boundaries by an amount not less than the minimum setback specified in the residential schedule, plus 6 inches for each foot of building length in excess of 40 feet, such length measured parallel to the property boundary. It goes on to further explain some of the limitations on the side and front yard setback. So just for instance, the front yard setback is twice the bulk requirement. So the bulk requirement would be 40 feet in this instance. So our front yard setback becomes 80. The side setback is 30 feet. The regulation reads it shall not exceed or need not exceed 40 feet. So we are obviously well beyond both of those requirements, but it doesn't give any further stipulation for the rear yard setback. So you've got to do a little math. So again, the formula was kind of a mouthful when I read that, but essentially you've got to look at the bulk requirements for the residence zone, which is 30 feet. And then you've got to add another half a foot for setback for every length of building greater than 40 feet measured parallel to the boundary. So we did put a little diagram here together. So our measurement parallel to the boundary would be 425 feet. If you do the math, you get 223 foot required setback. I hope that was clear, but it is a little bit of an algebra equation to kind of get to that setback.
No, I think it's actually very straightforward.
Good.
Please continue.
Yeah, so some of our hardships, Lisa kind of mentioned some of these before, but obviously the site, it sits on a rather large lot. It's 33.17 acres, but we have 15.47 acres identified as wetlands, and those are, spread out throughout the site, but there's really sort of a dense area where, we're limited to this development, and it's located where the school is now and adjacent to the school building. So what we've really done here is we've almost provided a site that's flip-flopped what was there now. The school building, which Lisa mentioned, has to remain operable so students can learn while this is being built. We'll occupy part of the space as the new building's being constructed adjacent to it. But once the new building is open, then the demolition can occur on the existing building, and where that building is, we can construct a new parent drop-off loop, a parking area, and the replacement youth baseball field. So we have a baseball field and a soccer field shown on the plan in front of you here. There'll also be some playgrounds kind of scattered in the northern section of the site, and a new tennis court, basketball, and additional play area just west of the building.
Right, and if I could just throw in here as well, the flip-flopping of these two gives us a little bit of additional amenity in that we have this ability to put a nice long parent drop-off around the softball field. And that will relieve, there's a lot of parking and kids crossing buses with parents on Noah Lot Lane right now.
Yeah, it's also beneficial in staging the construction because you're capable there to use some of the existing parking that's out there now.
Right, it's beneficial to construction and also to not disturbing the rest of the site.
I think this is Alan Lowe again. I think that ends our presentation from the team if there's nothing else to add.
Mm-hmm.
I think on behalf of the city, we had worked very hard to kind of minimize the impact, try to maintain the improvement within the area that's developed already so that we don't impact on the wetlands and the wooded area. So again, I think somebody said before that basically where the existing building and the softball field is, we just swap back with the two facilities to come up with this plan. I think it laid out very efficiently on site. Also, the building is 2-story, so it's not like it's a 2-story building, so it's long, but it's not like it's a multi-story. It's only 2. So I think that's about all we have as part of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. I'll start with asking, are there any members of the public that wish to speak in favor of this project?
And again, just so everyone knows, if you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature. And then we'll bring you over to be able to make a comment, and then just state your name and address for the record. Don't see anyone on for the application.
Okay, are there any members of the public that wish to speak in opposition of this project or this application?
All right, we have Matt.
Let's see, do you have me on now?
We do.
Yes.
Yes.
Is my video coming through?
No.
Oh boy, how do I do that? Join as panelist.
I think once you're on.
You got it. He has to turn on his sound and his video, 2 separate functions.
Yeah, I got sound on, there's video. All right.
There you are.
Took me into a different setting. Sorry about that. Thank you guys for the time. I appreciate it. I did submit a letter this morning, which I'm assuming is what Mr. Levy was referring to. I live at 2 Noah Lot Lane, right next to the school. In all the diligence, I'm a little bit surprised that not once did I get a letter or a knock on the door or any indication that there was something going on with the zoning specifically prior to last Thursday when I received a certified letter. Up until that point, I was aware that we were looking at updating the school and was very excited about that, and have seen many of the architectural renderings and thrilled with it. The concern I have is where the new school will be located, and what the change in the variance means for our family and our neighborhood. With so few properties, it seems like it would have been simple to have a conversation with us prior to this point. So it is a little bit frustrating that we're here, and I'm scrambling to try to figure out what all this means and what kind of hardship this is going to put me in as a result of this. That said, I think we are ultimately, the whole neighborhood is very supportive of the project in its entirety. We just want to be consulted and a part of the process as it moves forward. So if there's a way to do that, that would be great. I would propose that if everyone is open to that, that we postpone this hearing until further discussion has happened. And then we proceed at that point once we've just understood what's really going on here.
Okay, that's the extent of your comments?
Yeah, I submitted a letter, which I'm assuming is on file.
Yeah, we have it, and they will be put into the record of this hearing.
Yeah. Thanks.
Does any member of the board have questions?
There
for
is
Matt?
there's still more people I think that want to speak, or at least one more
Okay.
person. So
Then we'll keep hearing them.
so here's Diane.
Good evening, Chairman Levy and the Zoning Board of Appeals. For the record, my name is Diane Lauricella, and I've lived in the Cranberry area for, of my 35 years in Norwalk, at least about 15 to 20 years. First, I wanted to say that I am in favor of a school, either renovation as new or a total new school rebuilt on Cranberry. I also am a good governance advocate. So tonight I wanted to present some thoughts about how we possibly could come to the middle and make sure this is the best project that we all would like it to be. And that is, and I'll be very brief. Number one, I think that there's a need to go back to the drawing board with both the school building committee, the staff and the consultants used from Antonazzi Associates, as in addition to the folks mentioned that are on the staff today and contractors. For it appears that the hardship may be borne by the neighbors as well, and alternatives do still exist in order to kind of move around the deck chairs for at least some of the facilities, and I'm mainly talking about the outdoor facilities, to provide a benefit and quality of life to the neighborhood in my read of this project. In addition to possibly moving the new building, if indeed it is decided to construct a new building, move it a little further to the east in order to, again, include neighborhood benefits and quality of life and preserve some of the outdoor space to the west. I'm in favor of what I've heard is being planned, an outdoor classroom, but I feel that, and again, because this is seen as a hardship, that squeezing or shoehorning in sports facilities such as, and shifting them west by quite a few, tens of feet of your basketball court and shoehorning them to the west in between the new building and the edge of the property is not something that is wise. And I believe that the hardship of wetlands existence and woodlands, while, as many of you know, I am an environmental advocate and professional, I believe there are some alternatives. Number two, there is a provision in 118-1410, section 1, where the zoning inspector can be, I'm suggesting that they have made an error, because in allowing this application to go forward to public hearing, which is against the procedures of this commission, because it has been found in my contacts with some of the neighbors, just to find out the hardships, and that is that several of the abutters were not even properly noticed. And I know that you're going to have the staff tell you that that is just a tradition, not a legal import. But the reason why it's important is that you have traditionally asked all applicants to send certified letters by 10 days prior to a public hearing to notify such abutters. And half of the abutters were not notified at all. So I think that, unfortunately, the zoning inspector, who I very much admire and like, was in error to let this application go forward, because I would think that there would not be the green card signed off, and they literally have the wrong owners of one of the properties. Number three, it has been stated tonight by the chairman and others prior to this that the neighbors should have known that this was taking place. Well, unfortunately, Zoning Board of Appeals, the details have not been made available of these important details shoehorned in the west side of the property until very recently. In fact, many who have tried to find out the details have not been given the chance to do so until you yourselves received these maps and they were put on the city website. And the other reason the neighbor did not know is that currently the tradition and practice of the city for school building committee, advisory committees, is to have closed meetings that are not available for the public to observe, to read minutes, to speak, which is of course they don't have to provide that by law. So because this is withholding important information that would have provided the neighborhood a chance to at least know what was going on, it has not been done. And because of that, and this is not the first time this has happened, tonight I am in the process of finishing my filing of a Freedom of Information complaint to the State Freedom of Information Commission, because those meetings should have been public meetings and they were not. And we, as a city, a state that we care about public input and taxpayer input, well, we have to put that into practice. And this has been an ongoing issue for me and others with the way we now do all of our school building projects. Number 4, the timing. The behavior of certain developers in previous mayor and council used to be that developers would traditionally bring up controversial or big projects during August when people are on vacation. One reason why you're not going to have many people speaking to you today, besides the fact that people didn't know the details, which are important and are part of this application for hardship, is because number 1, they're on their summer vacations prior to school starting, and at least several members that would have spoken from the Cranberry Preservation Association are at the All-Star Championships in Middle America this very night. And I wish those kids great luck, but their parents are in the Midwest at this time. Lastly, as far as hardship with wetlands and woodlands, again, repeating, I wanted to say that's my understanding the Conservation Commission has not had their public hearing yet about this site, but I may be mistaken. But because it was stated tonight that the Conservation Commission has been reviewing this, but I don't believe they've actually given final approval with a vote, and there's a public hearing that they're going to have. And of course, then the Zoning Commission must have a public hearing because it's a special permit, not may, but must. So the issue with wetlands and woodlands and the issue for this particular hardship is that it has been a practice by this city and applicants to our city boards and commissions that on occasion, some wetlands and some woodlands can be utilized for construction as long as they are either replaced or enhanced with native plants. And so I'm proposing that this particular project tonight be put on hold for only 1 month, because I know it's important to get this going, and try to see if we can move some of these sports facilities that have been shoehorned in to the left, to the west of the new building, to move them to the east of what will become the new parking lot, and make sure that the 200-year-old tree that is on this property not be destroyed, because it means something to the kids and it's truly representative of what our city stands for as a Tree City USA. So again, my main point is I think this application was incomplete, shouldn't have gone to public hearing, because we have notification errors that were made innocently, perhaps, and the timing is unfortunately ill-conceived to have this happen in August, and a hardship does not. The hardship of the wetlands and woodlands, I think there can be a middle ground, and if people can sit and help and have access to the details on this project, I think that in a month, people can help Alan and the contractors sit down and find a few places, just tweaking the project so it may use up a little bit more of wetlands and woodlands, but not much, and not create a hardship to the entire neighborhood. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Diane. May I ask you a question? Because I'm trying to find an answer. What
Yes.
property owners are you aware that will not notice?
I believe that will be the person that is speaking next. I hope he's on. Mr. Forte actually got in touch with his neighbors, but the neighbor next door they sent it to the wrong owner. They sent it to an owner from many years ago, and I guess the city did not consult the most recent tax assessor list. But I believe a speaker shortly will be able to help you with that. There are 2 to 3 abutting neighbors that have not been, they did not receive the certified letter. And I know the interpretation of that by the staff. I know that the people don't have to receive the letter within 10 days, but the letter has to be sent within 10 days, certified. And that is the point, is that some folks never received a letter because it was sent to either the wrong place or they were forgotten. So there are about 5 or 6 total. And my understanding is there are fewer sent. But again, that is really the burden of the city or the applicant. But I thank you for asking the question. I cannot tell you the exact addresses or names, but Mr. Forte, who is one of the abutters, can fill you in, I believe.
One last question for you, Diane, because I know you have a lot of experience with difficult sites. How do you propose we work around the existing building?
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes?
Oh, okay, sorry, I don't, my hand raise icon is fading out and so I didn't know if I was still on. Okay, how to use the existing building is work around the existing building. Well, one way is to, the issue of the gym had come up initially. The city, I was made aware that they were hoping to renovate it. And then there were reasons why, because of, and I do sympathize with the staff, the state's horrible reimbursement process, and many of us are going to try to help change that. It was found that it was better, and Mr. Lowe can explain exactly why that wasn't possible. I do believe that I would have preferred them have a renovate as new approach, because then the building footprint would not have moved at all. But I know it has been very difficult with Jefferson School to do that kind of a project. So I do believe that there is a way to move the proposed new building further east by even 50 feet. And also, I do believe, since other facilities here, Mr. Chairman Levy, include a tennis court and a basketball court, those have been jammed in west of the new building. So I think it would behoove the city to look at some alternatives. And they have not apparently done so, based upon what they're calling a hardship, which I am calling a lack of a really good look at the alternatives in moving around the different parts of this important project.
Very good. Did any other board member have questions of Diane Loricella?
Marilyn has her hand up.
Yeah, hi. I'm just not clear. I certainly get the fact that there were people that were maybe not properly notified. Exactly, it's not exactly clear to me what the hardship is about the design as it stands. Could you just spell that out? I'm just not sure what the hardship is with the new design as opposed to the old design or renovation. I do understand the fact that in terms of renovating and they want to do the project while the kids are still in school, obviously, and operational. But when you said that things are being shoehorned, and what is the problem with that? I'm not sure what it is.
Thank you, Commissioner Altman. In my looking at the project, and Mr. Chairman Levy is correct, I have professionally worked on helping with some projects that are tough. And this is a challenging project, but not without alternatives. And the issue is that by moving the building further west, you have a mass that is within observation of homeowners along Grumman Avenue especially, and Noah Lot Lane, that is now within view. And there have been some issues with lighting. Now, I'm assuming there's a lot of discussion about lighting, and the city does try to make sure the lighting now is the new kind of lighting that does not glare into people's, bedroom windows at night. But the other facilities that are still on this plan that are going to cause hardship are the shifting of additional sports facilities, and possibly even an amphitheater. I've been hearing about this through the rumor mill, that will cause the neighbors along that section of Noah Lot and Grumman to hear every day and night, sometimes of the week, bouncing balls. Of course, I love children, and I love when children laugh, but especially if some of these neighbors work at home, and especially because of COVID, many still are, they will never be able to open their window because there'll be almost constant noise for lack of a better word, even though it's joyful noise. And so secondly, and I am not a realtor, but my understanding that there has been a realtor's, you might have an email or a letter, but the enjoyment of the backyard and the actual value of all of these homes may be diminished because of the massing of this building and all of many of these sports facilities being shoehorned, I'm calling it, because that's what it looks like. I mean, they're really jamming them together. It is not unusual that this would cause the neighborhood not to be able to enjoy their homes and their backyards. If that helps you.
It does. Thank you. That was not, I didn't hear that earlier. I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Okay, should we go on to hear the next person that wishes to speak from the public on this?
So there's a Matt. Yep.
Hello? I don't know how to get my video on. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we would like to see you.
We hear you, Matt.
Let's see. How do I turn the video on?
It's a separate choice. Usually it shows up right next to the audio.
It may be at the bottom of the left.
got it. You're on.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Forte. I live at 258 Grumman Avenue. I want to start by thanking everybody for being here tonight, and I want to also say that I am in support of whether it be a construction of a new school or the renovation of an existing school. I also want to say that I don't think that this variance should be granted because there is no hardship. There's no hardship here. At a minimum, it should be postponed due to a lack of notice. Mr. Levy, you asked who did not get notice. Leo Seraphin, 276 Grumman Avenue did not receive notice. The people at 250 Grumman Avenue, they mailed the notice to the previous owner. The new owners have been there more than 2 years. The people at 246 Grumman Avenue did not receive notice, and they abut the property as well. So those three people received no notice whatsoever. And the other two people that this affects received notice, I don't know, a week before tonight, a week ago tonight. I believe there's plenty of room on the site. I'm in construction. I've reviewed the site. I see the plan. I've walked the site. There's plenty of room on the site to gain a new school, as well as everything else they're proposing without jamming the facilities that Diane was talking about, namely the tennis court and basketball courts up against the property lines of all our homes. There's a basketball court out there now. There are teenagers down there now on the weekends and at night playing basketball, breaking beer bottles, what have you. Those courts are 350 feet away from our property line right now. The way it's proposed, they're going to be like 60 feet from the property line. There's a big swath of land. I'm going to speak to some specifics that folks asked for. There's a swath of land that it has no wetlands in it, where on that plan it says 12 Noah Lot Lane. There's plenty of room in there, and it's relatively flat. It would take some clearing, but plenty of room to put tennis courts and basketball courts, which, in my personal opinion, there's no tennis or basketball teams at Cranberry Elementary School. So it's more of something for people in the community to use on weekends and afternoons when school is not in hours, rather than having them right on the property lines. To the nature's classroom, there's a drawing of a nature's classroom in the north end of the school. I think that could be moved to the back of the school. It's not going to disturb anybody at night after school hours. If they're having classrooms out there or some sort of assembly, it's during school hours. It's not going to bother anybody. What we're really concerned with is the bouncing of the basketballs at night and the tennis playing on the weekends. It's right in our backyards. The other thing we're worried about is now the school, as proposed, is moving 120 feet closer to our house and our property line, right? It's moving 80, it's basically set up to be 80 feet off of the existing school. The way I see it is it can move 50 feet closer to the school. That would allow for a 20-foot travel lane along that side of the school. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's plenty of room for emergency vehicles to get in and out and for the kids to get in and out, a construction fence, and then the construction site. So, you know, due to the lack of notice, I don't think you guys should be even voting on this tonight. But if there is a vote, I don't think a variance can be granted because I have not seen a hardship proven. That's all I have to say right now.
Matt, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the state statutes are in terms of qualifying for a variance? Have you looked it up?
I have not looked it up. I've only.
I would
spoken with
suggest you go to the state guidelines for variances. I don't
Okay.
disagree with you on many things you said, but I think you might be a little bit out of bounds in saying that there are no grounds for a variance.
I'm saying there's no hardship.
I'm saying that
equal
please
grounds for
go
variance.
to the state statute and read what qualifies as a hardship.
I have one more question that was somebody said earlier. How is Field Street considered to be the front of the school when the address is Noah Lot Lane and the driveway is on Noah Lot Lane? I'm just curious about that.
So I can answer that. This is Tammy Maldonado, zoning enforcement officer. On a corner lot, the zoning front is the narrower of the two sides.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition of this project? Tammy, anyone else with their hand up?
There is one more. I think she spoke on the previous application, but it's Diane. And Diane, let me know if you'd like to do video.
I don't care about the video.
Okay.
So I'm Diane Keefe and I'm at 249 Chestnut Hill Road. And actually, I just wanted to speak as a non-abutting member of the Cranberry neighborhood that I first learned about the project because some of the trees that abut the Field Street area were taped. And that's how I found out about the project. So not everybody is reading the website of the city to figure out what's going on. I do read Nancy on Norwalk, not every day, but I was not aware about it. Alan Lowe did call me back after I inquired with the landscape architects about what was going on in my neighborhood. I don't have kids in the school. My kids are older, but I still think that the neighbors who have spoken deserve the respect of delaying the process until there's more feedback. Also, the 50-foot setback, I know how inadequate that is because property abutting my property, you never imagine how close something can be until it's already there, and then it's too late to change it. So when they said that the calculation said 223 feet and you're switching it to 50 feet, that's a big difference. So I ask for the commission to be sympathetic to the people whose property abuts. And I would also, I won't say anything else because everything else does not pertain to the zoning board.
Thank you, Diane. We appreciate your statement.
All right, there is one more, Christopher. Just have to unmute yourself, and then let me know if you want to share video.
Let's see. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then let's see.
Please identify your residence, your address.
Oh, my name is Chris Cascio. I am at 246 Grumman Avenue. I'm on the corner of Norlot Lane and Grumman Avenue. My backyard comes very, very close to the property. I think there's maybe a foot or two that is between the other two neighbors, so I don't actually abut the school property. But anyway, I've been here since 1986, and I have always loved the school, and you know, I enjoy the sounds of the school and what's going on. But I'm really a little disturbed at the fact that it is going to be so close to us. I mean, in the wintertime, when the lights are on at the school, you know, it just shines in our house. It's an orange glow that I'm worried about, but also it's the proximity. It's going to be aesthetically the placement of this thing. I understand why you're doing it because of the school right now. But my feeling is that, you know, we really do have to look at getting it moved a bit out of the corner. It's going to be jammed in there. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I know space. I know everything that, you know, how things should look. And this is not going to look good. It's not going to really work very well where it is. My feeling is that let's sit back and not decide anything tonight, and let's you know, let me talk to my neighbors, and we'll talk with you folks as well. You know, everybody has to get together, and we'll come up with a solution. That's kind of where we are.
Very good. Any questions for this almost adjoining property owner?
Right. I guess that's why I did not get a certified letter, I assume.
That's correct.
You guys look really closely at the maps.
I have. I'm looking at exactly where your property is.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Do we have anybody else in the public that wishes to speak on this issue?
Okay, he's demonstrating bias.
I'm not
Excuse
seeing
me?
anyone, Lee.
Pardon?
I don't see anybody raising their hand, so I think that
Okay.
should be it.
Well, we will go back to the applicant, Alan Lowe, for final comments.
Thank you. First, I want to ask if Tammy, can you address the question about notification? Because I think what we do is we go to the tax assessor's record, and we identify whatever property is identified, or property owner is, and the mailing address that's on it. That's who we send it to. So, Tammy, you can talk about a little bit about it, because I wasn't involved in the actual process of sending out those certified mails.
Yeah, I just went through the receipts. So the identified properties, there were 7 plus the city of Norwalk for the park. So 8 total. We had 56 Field Street. I have a receipt for that. 42 Field Street. I have a receipt for that. 52 Field receipt. 46 Field receipt. 258 Grumman Avenue receipt. 11 William Street receipt, and 2 Noah Lot Lane receipt. Out of those, the city received 4 green cards returned. Did you need any other information about that?
No, I mean, again, we look at the maps, you identify a property owner, go to tax records, whatever. I mean, somebody mentioned that, you know, somebody bought the house 2 years ago. I don't know when people bought the houses. Whatever the land record shows, or the tax assessor's information shows, that's who we send it to. So if they didn't get it, it's not because we didn't try or purposely not send something out. So I just want to make that clear, that is not an intent to deceive anybody or have this meeting purposely in August to avoid public participation. It's just part of a process in terms of how we go move the project along, when do we go to state for approval and everything else.
And I would just add to that, it was published in the Norwalk Hour per requirement of statute. And this meeting is held via Zoom, so out-of-town people are free to join as well.
The other thing is that all our meeting, when we go to land use committee and board meetings, are recorded. So there are committee meetings, which are working sessions. So those are not recorded, and there's no requirements, as far as we know, to record it and publicly notice. So any board meeting, board committee meeting, as well as common council committee meetings, are all freedom information and published. The other thing I want to quickly talk about is that I think if we get the design team, can you put up the site plan showing where the building is in relation to the proposed building in relationship to the existing building on the site plan?
Alan, while you're doing that, Alan, can you tell me about the woods to the north and to the south?
Excuse me?
Just describe to me who owns the woods to the north and south.
The city of Norwalk.
All right, we consider them all part of the park? Both sides?
It's a little tricky. The north is definitely part of Cranberry Park. The southern portion, the city acquired it from the state park. I don't know when it was a second acquisition. I think it was after the Maris 7 put in. So I'm not sure we actually designated or deeded as parkland, but I'm not sure we actually called it Cranberry Park. We may have, but just out of simplicity's sake. But I'm not sure technically or legally whether that's considered part of Cranberry Park. Did I made it more confusing than I should?
Yeah, the reason I brought it up, and I don't want to derail you from what you're about to launch on, but it has to do with me reaching 3/4 of a century in age. And the only good that really comes out of that is I do have a pretty good memory, and I can think back at some of the school projects, 11 of them that I was involved in. And as the years go by, all the agreements with the neighbors and everything that goes on kind of fade into Never Never Land. And so there needs to be some strict measures put in place that prevent, for instance, let's say the sale of that state property or the reuse of it. And if there's a buffer area around there that's in the woods, that it become designated, then we put something on a deed that makes sure that it's there forever. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Specifically, I want to, if you can load that up a little bit, please. I want to see the relationship of the proposed building with the existing building. I don't think we see that clearly there.
Sure. So maybe I'll
Yeah, you include.
I can sort of outline where the existing school is. And I did go ahead and measure the closest point, which is here, is 53.
Yeah, so did I.
53 feet.
Right. So when we build this, we need area to create foundation equipment to go through, as well as put a mean egress from the building, and that's the loading area too for the cafeteria and stuff that goes to the back area. So to us, that's the minimum distance between the existing building and the proposed building during construction. So it is a sensitive area that we can't get that close to the existing building. So that's the tightest area. That's the point, the closer we want to get to the existing building. And also, if you look at the proposed building, the closest distance is 65 feet or so.
It's 68.45 feet.
And that's the outermost point of the proposed building. The current tennis court is actually closer to the property line. And we're not proposing to change any of the tree buffer along the property. So we're not impacting any green area that protect the trees and stuff to separate the city property and the private property. We also reduced the tennis court to one tennis court. And the basketball court, we purposely did not do a full court. We do 2 half courts. Half court doesn't attract greater uses. It's really for the kids at lunchtime. They can go out and play some basket and shoot around. They do not have a league. They don't have a team kind of thing. But at the same time, is that it's a popular sport, and kids at lunchtime or after school program kind of stuff, providing a basketball court for them to use, it's a good thing. And also, we want to put it close to the school so that they don't have to cross the parking lot to get there. That's why it's in the back area. And the next thing I want to focus a little bit is on the parking lot and the field area. As you can see, the softball field, the youth baseball field got put in with a multi-purpose field, and we are putting the drive around the outside of it to provide drop off and pick up parking. As you can see, it's really right at the edge of the wetland boundary limits. We are required to put all the parking spaces in, and there's really not any residual space that we have, except a little area that we can on top that we consider potentially do an outdoor classroom on the top. We can potentially put the basketball court over there. That's a possibility. Other than that, it's and also I think somebody mentioned about a amphitheater. It's really not an amphitheater. It's really by the entrance, the black area that's in front. So it's really just a public area when you come into the building. Potentially you can have events out there and things like that. There's a little bit of grade change over there. So that's all it is. Again, if the basketball court, potentially we could relocate it if there's space up on top kind of thing too. Again, that's the outdoor classroom. So something we can look at. And lastly, in terms of if any of the residents want to look at these plans, they're welcome to call me or Jonathan from my office. My name could be easily found in the city website and stuff like that. So we are happy to show these plans. There's no secrets to these. We are doing this for the taxpayer in Norwalk. So it's not that we are doing this in the abstract and don't want to tell the public about it. I don't want anybody to get the impression that, you know, this is a secret project. We don't get people involved. There's nothing to hide. It's pretty straightforward. We work with parents and parent groups and teachers and to develop these projects. So, and also it's based on all the comments that were made, I think everybody is supportive of this school project. So that's not the issue. So the same with just placement. And I think come down to is that you look at the site, look at the circle, the yellow circle, there's really not too much area left unless you want to impact wetlands and wooded area. I mean, I'm not about to do that. So regardless of what some people may want to find solution and remove some of that or replace it, whatever, I'd rather leave the wetlands and green space alone and focus on an area that is available to us, which is within the yellow circle. So it's with great effort that we're trying to fit this building between the existing building and the adjacent property owner. We try to keep it close to the existing building as much as possible, but maintaining an access way for construction and delivery to the building while the building is under construction. We're trying to keep the existing parking lot in the front, so which is, you know, it's just a further buffer from the street kind of thing. So it's tucked inside the city property. So it's not like fronting on the street, you know, and for the public, from driving on a Norwalk lane, they wouldn't know there's a difference and there's a new building behind the property. Again, with that, we are happy to meet with Matt and whoever that want to come into our office, and we can come by your house if you want to. I know it's middle of COVID, but at the same time, we can meet at the school, whatever, to look at these plans in detail. And you know what, if we want to look at basketball, tennis court, potential relocating, I don't have a big problem with that. But those things that we can talk about. But placement of the building, really there are too many choices here. I mean, you know, the CBA will be making a decision about whether this setback requirement that we have will give us a variance or not. But at the same time, is that to protect the property, then the neighborhood and the aesthetic of the neighborhood as well. I think our solution to do this, it's a reasonable one. The hardship is that we want to protect those wetlands, and I mean, potentially we can shift the other side too if we wanted to, but I don't think that's the right thing for the community as well. So I think I'm going to stop, so I don't want to take any more time. So I think I've answered, if not all, some of the comments or questions that the speakers had. And again, you can just get my email address from anywhere you can find it. It's pretty easily accessible. Thank you.
Hey, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
The youth baseball and soccer field designation that you got within the yellow circle.
Yeah.
I presume, I don't know north and south here. I presume straight up is north. Is that correct?
North is up.
All right. So if it moves to the east, there's room to put the basketball courts on the other side of the building and prevent the noise from leaking out to the street.
very quickly, I mean, without looking, I would, if we had to move the two, there's the two half courts. Lisa, can you point to the two half court? It's right there. One of the reasons why we put it there is for two reasons. One is that by fire department, we're required to provide an emergency egress to the back of the building. What we're trying to do here is accomplish two goals. One is provide turnaround for fire engine, an emergency vehicle. At the same time, provide area for basketball hoops. We serve two purposes over there because we have to make a turnaround for the paved turnaround anyway. So we want to take advantage of that pavement to put the two half courts in there. But we have to, we can move that over there, but we still have to pave that asphalt because the fire department requires it that we have a turnaround. So it will still be paved.
I see a natural turnaround there. I don't want to get into design phase here, but that big loop that your architect pointed out to us, that you're providing convenience to the parents for pickup. So you got a big loop.
Right.
If the basketball court is accessible to the big loop, then you're fine for evacuating somebody. It also gives you pavement that you could drive onto. There's a whole bunch of things you could do. I think this could use a little more thought. Just my opinion.
Sure.
Andy, I'll give you a
me
comment.
well. I'm not strange.
Okay, Andy, one comment that I think you're incorrect on is Alan stated, and I agree with him, that they're required to provide fire department turnaround that's accessible to the back of the building. So they would need to build a turnaround in any case.
That's correct. So that area would be paved anyway.
Would have to be paved somehow to allow a fire truck to come in, park, and turn around.
I think that's doable, Lee. I also because
you ever
right
get
there
into a
on the
fire
design,
truck and watch them try to
Look at
turn
the
it
design.
around? It's not easy.
Look at the design. You've got a road.
But that's a
coming right
design element, and I'm not going to concern myself any further with it.
there. Okay. All right. I do believe the notice requirement was not met, and so I think we shouldn't even be dealing with this right now.
I would like to ask a question of the people who've spoken in opposition. I believe that I've heard that all you are asking for is a 30-day postponement in the decision-making process from ZBA. Is that correct?
I believe that's what I heard from those speaking in opposition.
So the public speakers, they're not on the panelists with the commissioner. So if you want a correspondence back and forth, I can bring them back over.
No, I don't think that's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary.
I think my fellow commissioners are correct.
Okay.
Well, do we want to, while we're on that subject, do we want to make some decision right now?
No.
No,
because I don't think they met the
no,
notice
I'm
requirement.
not.
How many
I'm
times
not
how many
referring
times have
to.
we turned somebody? No, don't shut me off. Quit it. How many times have we told people they had to come back because they didn't notice properly?
Many times.
And so same in this case.
Well,
I think we might all
I
be
know
in
our attorney said that's
agree. Is it possible we're all thinking along the same lines, that it would be appropriate to wait 30 days, have them come back in 30 days?
I'm in agreement with that.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah, so am I.
I think that Alan Lowe's thought that he'd be eager to, willing to meet with the neighbors would be a good use of that time. He did, I think, demonstrate that the planners anticipated and positively dealt with the concerns of the neighborhood that were brought to us by the public.
I agree.
Yeah.
does someone want to make a motion?
That
I
their
would-
concerns have been addressed.
I will make a motion that we leave this open for the next, I think that's the proper way to do it, that we leave it open for the next meeting of ZBA and do not take a decision today.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are we unanimous?
Yes.
I don't think Mr. Lowe is got a vote, but he wants to say.
No, I wasn't thinking of a vote. I just have a quick question. Is that going to be a public hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
it will be part of our public hearing.
Yeah, this hearing didn't close. It'll be
Thank you.
open next month.
Thank you, Andy.
So Alan, just, we would publish the notice again as a continuation of the public hearing.
Do we have to do legal notice again?
You do not. Unless you've missed someone, which again, I have 7 receipts that appear that all 7 were noticed.
Yeah, so,
We'll clarify that. If it's needed, you could do it.
Yeah, please do.
okay, yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Good night, Alan. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay. Do we move to discuss the first 2 items, or do you want to move to board action?
Well, do you want to deal with the, whatever your pleasure, Mr. Chairman,
Well,
but you want to deal with
let's,
the
we
extensions?
normally go in reverse order, so we've taken care of item C.
We've got the extensions to deal with also.
Yeah, well, that'll be the last thing, I guess. We'll go on to item B, 210819-02, 155 South Main Street.
Well, he does reduce the difficulties that we currently have with the property.
Well, the only thing I would say is I'd like to get a solid agreement with him that he's going to improve the site, because the parking lot is in very poor condition. And the refuse area from the photos he showed is a mess.
Yeah, I agree. So you want to add a stipulation?
I would like to add a stipulation that our approval requires improvement of the site and refuse facility.
And how about a stipulation that the interior usable space is kept to the 450 square feet so that it doesn't have to be a complaint if they exceed that and then an inspection issue?
I agree, Keith, that he did make a promise on paper with that poorly drawn plan, which I'm sure is not going to get through the building department, although it might. I'll make a motion that we approve the application subject to improvements to the parking lot, to the refuse area, site cleanup, and limiting the interior usable space to 450 square feet.
And I will second that.
I think it has to be 400. Am I wrong?
400?
Oh,
That was
sorry.
400.
It was
My mistake, yeah.
We'll change that to 400 square feet. All in favor of approving this application?
Aye.
Aye. Marilyn?
Yes, aye. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the consensus is unanimous that we approve the application for 155 South Main Street with conditions. Moving on to item A, item 210819-01, 24 Van Zandt Street. Comments?
We don't have a lot to do in this.
I have no problem with this application. I don't think that a high-end sports car repair sales facility is going to be detrimental. There are other car facilities on Van Zandt, and he could be a good addition to the car scene here in Norwalk.
Yeah, and the previous use is semi-industrial, so not a problem.
I will make a motion that we approve this application as presented.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Item is approved unanimously. And we go on to board action. Time extension first for 6 Golden Court. Variance 21-0618-02. I have no problem granting a 6-month extension. And I think that has become the policy of the board to grant no more than 6 months.
Yes, I think that's right.
Or less. What is the exact reason? I mean, I'd like to hear from somebody representing the property owner.
I am the property owner, Andy, and my wife, Tracy, had unexpected open heart surgery in June.
Right.
And so she is still recovering. We have
where are you living right now?
6 Golden Court.
Are you? Okay.
So anyway, that's the reason for it. As a result, it took us a little longer, as you can imagine, to get the contractor finalized. That's done. He's already submitted his application. I think that's underway as of about a week ago or early this week.
Yeah. Now, you don't happen to have the property up for sale currently?
I do not, no.
All right. And the only reason I ask is we've had a few instances that have occurred like that, where basically the extension is to give more time to sell it.
Absolutely.
And you're not doing that, so that's fine.
Absolutely not. I got 3 kids in New York. We can't go too far.
Okay, all righty.
Okay, I wish your wife all the best.
Thank you very much.
I know how difficult the recovery is.
It's a long one, but it's a surprise to both of us, but she's making progress. Thank you.
Good. Well, I make a motion, we approve a 6-month extension to grant, to acquire a building permit for 6 Golden Court.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The application passes unanimously.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The extension next is for 490 Westport Avenue, variance 21-0218-01. Is the applicant online with us?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman, or representative of the applicant, I should say. Jay
Okay.
Klein, Harmony Law. We're here tonight, similar to the previous application, seeking 6-month extension of time. With all the construction activity, going on across the state and here in Fairfield County, it's just been difficult to get, all of our materials in line, get the contractors and the team scheduled to get this done as quickly as we want it to. So the 6 months added time will allow us to, get the materials that we're waiting on, pull a building permit, pull a zoning permit, and bring this project to the community.
Okay. So 6 months will be adequate.
I hope so. It's
Okay.
a unique time, to say the least, right?
Very good. Well, I'll make a motion that we extend the variance for 490 Westport Avenue an additional 6 months.
Great.
Second,
Second,
Second.
okay,
Nope,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
abstain.
okay. Motion still carries
Thank you very
4-0
much,
with
everyone.
one extension.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you for waiting. I did not see any minutes for the last two meetings.
They were in the packet for me.
They're in my
I did,
packet.
As for me.
I did not see them.
I double checked yours because you had that issue last time. They're in sequential order, so it should be behind the extension of time requests. They're
Not
just
here. I've got
both sheets.
the
very
last, I've got all the pages.
They're all thin. They almost might have attached themselves.
Well, I don't have it, but if you want to discuss it, I remember the two meetings. Andy, you want to lead us on this?
I'm just going to say that I didn't find any gross errors in them, so I'm more than happy to move them both for approval. Anybody have a problem with them that they want to bring up?
I didn't attend the June meeting, so shouldn't vote. And in the July meeting, my name is misspelled. And would like to see it corrected.
Dad, I have that problem all the time.
You do. You do.
Missed
You do.
it, Tad.
That's all right. I've been called worse than that. So.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
I will move that we pass the minutes.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
But with the exception of, let's do these separately. I just shuffled the papers here and
You found them?
thought I had them. No. Using paperwork. Let's start with 490, not 490. The meeting minutes in June 17th, 2021. All those in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tad
And we
is
moved them a couple of times, so we don't need to do that anymore.
Ted, you're abstaining from that
Yes,
vote?
please.
Okay.
Yes.
So that motion passes 4-0. On the July 15th minutes, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 With the correction.
With the correction of the spelling of Tad's name,
Yes.
we will approve those minutes. Any other business? Or can we say goodnight?
We can say goodnight.
I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Hopefully that we can not have to get into the design elements of Cranberry School, but it certainly doesn't hurt to get the public fully involved. I hate to see the door slam shut on them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that considerable amount of design work has gone in, and certainly not as a resident of Cranberry, but just someone who lives in Norwalk. I've been aware of this project and followed it for at least the last year. And how people in their neighborhood can't be aware, I don't know.
But I think the project changed from rebuild as new, which is a funny way to put it, to build new. I think that's pretty recent, within the last 5-6 months. It was just talked about there for a while, but now that's exactly the path they're going down.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah, and
my
there are-
issue is people don't read newspapers anymore. And public notices are never seen.
Never see the light of day. And of course, you know, the widely read The Hour.
The Minute?
The Minute. And then, it just happens to be that people don't see the paper because it doesn't have any breadth to it. So
Well,
it's unfortunate.
it is. So I am going to say goodnight.
Good night,
Motion-
everybody.
You all
Motion
next-
to adjourn?
Thank you.
A motion to
Are you
adjourn?
better? Hey, Lee, are you doing better? Feeling better?
I'm in cardiac therapy now, 3 days a week.
God bless.
I can't say I'm feeling a lot better. I'm dealing with other related medical issues.
I hope it all goes well. They're trying to talk me into doing similarly to what you had done, and I really don't want to do it.
Well, I think you got to look at what condition your body is in, the inconveniences and the pain. And if you want to call me to talk about it,
I shall.
there are things that your cardiac surgeon does not tell you.
Alrighty.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Good luck, Lee.
Good night.